and you got something back, there has to be a drain, you know.
I understand.
Let's call the meeting to order and then we'll argue about this.
Next meeting, when I find out confirmation.
Right.
Well, I get a confirmation as to the reason.
When you get some vague idea of what we should be talking about.
Right. Okay, our last meeting was July 25th. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
I motion to approve the minutes.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Uh,
Opposed? Okay. Three,
Mine. Oh, yes.
Here we go,
Hey.
here we go.
Progress, everybody knows everybody's name.
There we go, okay.
President's remarks.
like I said, Bria.
Okay. There you go.
I don't have any remarks
Okay.
other than what I've covered in the planning committee.
Right. There's a lot going on. So I sent mid-year statements, about 200, I think 273 is what I mailed, and we've had a real good response with people paying, so. The footbridge. Soil Conservation came to visit again, his name was, I think Mike, was something Westbrook. And he was going to contact me after he did the site visit and let me know what he discovered as to what we can or should not be able to do with the drainage in that footbridge. I haven't heard yet. I sent him an email last Thursday to ask, you know, did you find anything or what did you find? And I've not had a response. When I looked recently, you know, while I was, you know, getting an idea of the location, if you go on the property map from the county and you click on it's a little strip of property, it's actually listed under, which is where the footbridge comes out, if I'm reading it correctly. It's actually listed under the Drone Point Club, being the owners, DPPOA. But I would imagine that's a holdover. It's just like a lot of the plats still along the waterfront show DPPI as that owner, which is why we were not getting notifications. Maybe you don't need to know this. We weren't getting notifications when there'd be a request for a variance, for instance. Last year there was one on Overlook. I didn't get notified of it. Property owner notified me about it. So I contacted zoning enforcement. They were going to have the hearing, and she said, well, it's listed as DPPI as the owner, Drone Point Project. And I said, well, we actually own that all now. And if you look at some of those plats, it shows up as DPPI. You would have to go through.
I know a couple of ones on the river there, adjacent to the club, show that.
Yeah.
They're running this way, but.
Well, but if you look,
But why would one way over on?
because they used to own it, and I think when it all transitioned, that's my suggestion, is that when it all transitioned to the road company and eventually to this association, back in the day, it was DPPI. They were already registered with land records and so on. You'd have to go through one at a time, research those, find out which ones are which, to get them changed. Now Maureen just, at the county, just remembers to send me a notification when there's a request for variance. Which isn't the best method, because somebody will forget, she'll leave the office.
Seems like they should get the record straightened out.
Well, but how does one do that without doing each?
Yeah, and don't you have to go to court for each and every one, because you're technically changing the legal owner?
Perhaps.
Do we really want to do that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
So actually, when it comes to doing something with that footbridge, I don't know if that'll cause us an issue. Probably not. Probably we would just show them the deed transfers through the years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the footbridge?
It's, if you go off Surf, you know where Beach Drive is, and so make a left on Surf, and you can't go through there because Surf goes all the way up, used to Pine and Lake, and then Isabel took it out in '03, it was never rebuilt, so now there's a footbridge there.
Denopolis area, is that what it
You
is?
need to keep
Sure.
going.
Below.
You see the Osprey and you keep going.
Okay, yeah, okay, it's been that long. Wow.
Oh, yeah. '03 is when Isabel went through
I
that.
know.
Yeah.
I was a baby then.
And we've repaired the
Who's working?
footbridge. Yeah, yeah, we've repaired it a couple times.
Basic question.
So we're waiting for him to get back. And then
Yes.
Unknown caller.
I guess we'll have to tackle the, whether or not it's an issue, then tackle that with the county.
Right, and then the EIC
DPPOA
Yes.
is,
Drum Point Project
Yes.
Incorporated.
yeah,
Mhm.
and is that now the club? or
That
is
is the club, that's the
Yes, I'm
incorporated
fine,
name, I
thank you.
guess, of the club.
I thought what was our name for
Drum Point.
DPPOA?
We were
Okay.
a road company.
Oh, just the
I don't, well, there's a little more to
So it's
it
a
than that.
rogue company?
Road company.
Oh, not rogue.
No, it
Well,
doesn't.
That's kind of okay, I mean,
Okay.
if they're listed as the owner of
It's,
that
it's,
company.
it's, it's plain, it's
Well-
completely plain, but it
I
is
just don't know
definitely
how
still
we can
runnable.
address it.
And it
We
just,
can't just, unless
it appears to,
register the
it slips through
DPPI,
the,
AKA
on the
DPPOA.
back,
Yeah,
on
that
the
would
back
make sense.
side.
I don't know, I really don't know how to do them. I mean,
Mhm,
I can,
okay.
I mean, at this point, it's just, you know.
It's
calling
all right, you're
the
trying,
areas
I
as-
appreciate it.
right,
They don't let you know.
right, the only issue I can think
All
of
right,
is if
yeah,
the
I think I may drive up there
the
anymore.
woman that I interact with it,
Because I have a
zoning
mask on, and I usually take the mask off right when I go
enforcement
outside the
should
door,
leave that office.
and it could have pulled it
You
out.
know, and I'll end up
Maybe
missing
back to
some, or, yeah, I mean, it's not the best, not the best service.
You know, it might be worthwhile, just sort of informally ask, what will we have to do
To
to
get this
straighten
taken
out
out.
all that?
Yeah,
that's a good.
And I mean, if we don't have to go to court, if there's some sort of administrative way to do it, that would be good to report.
Do we have evidence of ownership of that, other than?
We have our deeds.
Oh, okay, good.
So
So,
might check with, I guess, didn't you check maybe with Kathy Smith at the clerk's office? And wouldn't that be kind of where that stuff is recorded?
Well, it's land records.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know, the plats are at land records.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't know how that's,
You're saying start as a POC.
well, I just assume it'll kind of come into the clerk's office, but maybe not. But I think it's worthwhile
start
just
there.
to go in and try to chase it down a little bit to find out, you know, just tell them what's going on, what the problem is, and then say, is there's some way to fix this?
Without having to do it
Without-
one by one.
Yeah.
And there may not be all that many. I did run into another one over the years. I don't remember where, I think it was on over.
actually, I remember seeing it several times
Yeah.
online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you can sort by, and there's different ways you can sort that database, but, or if they could provide us with a list of everything that's showing as DPPI
wonder if
or
they could.
DPI, and then look at that and use that as a way to filter out what's ours and what's theirs.
Maybe so. That would be good if they had a list. I mean, you can sort, but I don't see where it shows ownership of anything. Ownership, if anything, is under Tony Scous's, or,
No,
you
I
know,
don't.
like, you know, it's yours, so that we don't show, I don't think they show a listing of each individual piece of,
Well, they do,
do they?
yeah,
Yeah.
you can,
But where
It's
you
not
would
very
have a
complete
list,
sometimes.
where they would have a list, DPPI is the
yeah.
owner,
Each, you click on the property
individual.
and individually,
Yes.
and it gives you a frame of different.
Yes, but I mean, it wouldn't show like a long list, that you would
I've
sort
never seen
by
that.
ownership, Drum Point Association versus DPPI.
Or an individual.
Or an individual, I mean, you
Well,
know.
I
I've
think
never
But
they-
I'll check,
I
maybe
would
have
think
a
if it's a field in the database, I would think they could filter
Send
on
it
it
to me.
and,
I'll ask,
but,
that's.
you know, let's
that's
chase
good
it down and
thought.
see what,
Okay,
I mean, it's not a showstopper, right?
Right.
But it'd be nice to, if nothing else, to make sure that they're notifying us
right,
properly.
right. The man on Surf Street that purchased the lot and wanted to build a gazebo, he cannot build a gazebo. The restrictions in the buffer and in the critical area just won't allow it. I can quote the reason why, but it's not allowed. But when the inspector was there, he asked if he could put a picnic table there and anchor it down, and a grill and anchor it down. The inspector said there was no reason he couldn't, so that's what's there now. If anybody's walked and seen that, that's why that's there. He had suggested to me, the owner had suggested to me that if he couldn't build a gazebo, he wondered if he could put a shed there. He cannot put a shed there. He can't put any kind of a building there. There's just not enough property. So that's somewhat settled and done. Overlook Drive, the patio. I have to remember, it's been a while since I made this note. Rick Stodler from zoning enforcement said he's willing to wait for that, the owners there, to come back and remove it. They've actually since, it got a little mixed up because when they said patio, in my mind, I'm thinking up by the house. That's a patio on the house. And indeed, that is what they were talking about. That has nothing to do with us. They went to their hearing Thursday. I don't know the outcome because we had no dog in it fight. I, at the same time that was happening, got this call from zoning enforcement who told me about this platform that was on the beach, which is in essence our property. Two separate subjects. They are allowing this couple to, when they return from Europe, to take it down mid-September. So that's somewhat a done deal, but we'll follow up on it, to make sure. What else? Bayview and Laurel. I drove by, I saw you guys standing there, you and Eric, and I don't know who else, but I had to get back to the office.
They caused the problem, they knocked the tree over.
They're
Yeah.
not, what?
And your husband, I saw you have to
Oh.
knock the tree over. Yeah.
They're stronger than they look.
I was curious what that was about, because I did read something in the minute. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
all right, I shouldn't have.
Well,
known,
that
I'm
tree
sorry.
fell in the house,
Yeah.
and some time ago now, and they've been
Yeah.
having trouble with their insurance company, getting them to actually come up to a price that the contractor that the owner has brought in
Oh,
feels would be needed in order to repair the house. Insurance companies, USAA, I don't know, I've always heard good things about USSA. But another couple came in their driveway this afternoon to tell me about this house, and I told them I already know. They had trouble with USAA.
USAA, but.
USAA, I know that, that's my insurance company.
They had trouble with them.
They had trouble getting their claims settled a few years ago, so it didn't surprise them. But in any case, the woman that owns it said that she had secured a truck this past weekend, so I drove by. It is better, the big black bags are gone. I don't know, you guys walked.
Also on Friday morning, we walked out Loop every day, and what was really,
We got
really
houses
smelling
with
was, I think it
Yeah,
was
and they're not even
evergreen,
disgusted.
but I'm not sure, but there was a big trash can at the end of the driveway that had been sitting there for over a month, and it had, that's what was smelling
Oh,
so
well,
badly.
good,
But, you know, I don't know if they didn't pay their bill or what, but it was sitting there for over a month along the side of the road, and it stunk to high heaven.
Usually, it doesn't, I'm not gonna say it doesn't matter if you don't pay your bill, but the guys in the trucks, they just drive along.
Yeah.
And if they see an evergreen, they're gonna take it, so who knows?
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but it sat there for over a month in the sun, baking, and every week it
Yeah,
would smell
yeah, yeah.
worse. And then Friday morning, it disappeared, so
Oh,
I
that's
don't know, you know, what happened to it, but
It's
It
gone.
blew
it's gone.
It just.
But there's still a lot
Oh, I
of
know there's still a lot of
debris, and what I don't understand, I mean, you kind of give people a bit of a doubt, like the first couple of weeks, because, you know,
Right.
they're trying to find housing, and this,
Right.
that, and the other, but
Right,
it's been a long time, and that doesn't really, I understand with the insurance and like rebuilding and everything,
right.
and how you're waiting for insurance, but like picking up trash, like, you know, household trash, and
well, I can see,
mattresses and things just thrown in the front yard,
what,
that should,
Well, there's a small pile, a relatively small pile in front of the house right now.
Well,
yeah, I mean, it's better, it is better.
That place is, I'm glad I don't know them, but that place has always been messy, hasn't it? I mean, they always had.
not to
Not,
that
not to
degree.
this degree.
You can tell from
Yeah,
the, you can
things
tell
are-
from the condition of the house.
Yeah,
The siding and the paint and stuff, that it's not,
yeah.
it's not tip-top shape.
Yeah.
No.
So I'm not surprised that USAA might not be saying, hey, you've got damage in here that was there before.
Yeah.
And
That
they're,
might
you
be
know,
what
they're
they're
fighting over that.
We don't know those details, but that's
Yeah.
probably,
But
we're
they've
not
got
being
a-
told.
They've got a pod, you know, one of those
Yeah.
storage things sitting there, so I presume they must have taken stuff out of the house and have it in there while they're trying to get it fixed. The tree has been removed. I didn't see
Yeah.
any sign of a refrigerator, you know, they talked about
Yeah,
Yeah,
having a refrigerator that was rotten. I didn't see any sign of a,
I didn't see that either.
I looked around back and side and I didn't see
And,
it.
and the main thing for, for us is like, it just reeked to high heaven. I mean,
but
you
that's
could-
gone now,
But
that's
that,
good,
as of Friday,
okay.
that.
Because I can
is
show you other, I'm not defending them in any
Yeah.
way, but I can show you some other properties, take a right onto Overlook and, you know, couple,
Yeah, so this
you know,
is, I
blocks
mean,
down.
I was,
Oh my goodness.
I don't
have
know
to do those
personally how
places.
the neighbors
I was
I
surprised Heideman's
did not say
It's-
something or take that trash can and do something with it, because, I mean, you could not go outside without it like hitting you in the face.
Yeah. I'm surprised
It's
it
that bad.
wasn't as well, but, I
Yeah.
mean, I'll keep driving by and, you know, every week or so to see if there's
Yeah.
any progress.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean,
ask her
they're-
for
they're-
updates and so
Yeah.
on, but
Yeah.
beyond that,
And maybe, you
It
know,
doesn't
maybe
smell.
you're talking to her, maybe that's gotten the ball rolling
Yeah,
and, you
yeah.
know,
she realizes it's, and I mentioned, you know,
Yeah.
health department and so on, so.
yeah.
Right.
So, okay, property taxes. Do you want all the breakdown from last year, or do you just want this year's number? I've got everything. Feel like I do all
This
the
year.
Okay. The vacant lots, aside from that one, we paid, this year's taxes were $257.28. Lake Drive across the street, 400 Lake Drive, we did not put that in green space for the reasons we discussed, $47.79, so I think that's pretty reasonable. Property tax.
4,000?
$47.79.
yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
4,000 would not have been
A
reasonable.
couple of milkshakes.
This office, 401 Lake Drive, $2,139.38. The total for this year, $2,396.66. It was a $107 increase over last year.
Sounds reasonable.
Mailing the newsletter tomorrow. Oktoberfest is October 9th. It's a Sunday from 3 until 7. They could not get the band that they wanted other than for a Sunday, so that's why it's on a Sunday. So
Yeah, see, Bruce
anybody
put
that
a
can-
note out, I don't know
I
if
saw that.
that went to all of us
That went to just their club members.
and us.
I'll do, it's in the newsletter, but I'll do an email like the week before. I have it on my
Right.
list to do it. And volunteers, you know, same as usual. You know.
What's the date of the general membership meeting?
Oh, yeah, that's on, September 27th.
Yeah, it's
on
right there on the bottom of here, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so-
Alright, so that's all.
Well, I would be happy to volunteer, but I will be out of
Well, that's the best volunteers.
town. Literally, I would be.
That would be,
Okay.
so, okay. That's it on office?
That's it on office.
So now you get to talk about roads.
Okay, so we need to affirm the vote that was taken by email on paving. Recall that? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read the numbers and then we'll need a motion. So the bid opening was August 10th. The results were Great Mills Trading Post, $184,321.50. She-High Paving, the only other proposal, $210,123.44, so $26,000 more. So now we need to affirm on the motion to approve Great Mills Trading Post.
Okay, we have a motion?
Some of approved pretty much.
Second.
I second the motion.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
I sent letters to 87 property owners, letting them know that this was coming. And it's tentatively scheduled for the end of September. Or a text from Chris today.
Do you recall the, roughly what area this?
Yeah, it's up above Anchor Drive, Calvert,
Calvert,
Mills Creek,
Mill
Mill Creek.
Yeah.
that area. It's a
And
little
that's it,
over a mile.
so just that one
Is
loop.
that like that big loop? And there's a little offshoot too.
Yeah, there's
And
a
then
hilltop
Anchor
or
goes down
something up
there,
there.
some hilltops up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stormwater management, Chris said he should have estimates on some of the sites by Thursday. So I'll let you know. There was damage on Bay Drive a couple of weeks ago now. John Kelvinwood installed a septic tank and his equipment got stuck and had to be moved. And they did a little patch. And I asked Chris about, is that good enough? And he said, no, it's not. It had to be saw cut, which is what they've told me they've done. So, it was repaired on the 18th of August.
So existing home?
Yes. Yeah, they had to have their septic moved because they wanted to install or put in a pool. And in order to do that, they had to have their septic
Could
moved.
have done double duty. Yeah.
Only in your
We're
words,
not gonna be
right?
that full.
Plan on works there, too.
And I don't know if this is a road, or maybe it should have been my office then, I don't know. A couple of weeks ago on River Terrace, off of Overlook by the club. Ambulance tried to get in there and could not. They could get down, but they couldn't get turned around, what have you. People were parked, because that's an easement to the water. So somebody on Overlook called me and wondered if we couldn't put a sign that would say, no parking on pavement.
Yeah,
Can I do that?
I think so.
Okay.
So,
Be able to get ambulances in there.
Well, certainly. The
Does
Laurel,
that mean that they start parking on people's yards though, or is it?
well, in the right of way,
Pardon? Oh, in their own driveway.
No,
In the
right
right
of
of
way.
way.
Right of way.
the edge of the right of way is
Okay.
10 to 15 feet off the edge of the asphalt, the unpaved right of
Okay,
way.
so there is, it's not, okay, so it's not a problem.
Yeah.
All right.
And we actually did, when COVID hit and so many people were trying to use the beach areas, we had an area, like if you went down, turned around and came back, no. We had an area on the left cleared. There's a vacant lot
Correct.
that, so it gave us a little bit, and that's kind of gone over too. I can have that cleaned again, I guess. But, so yeah, they would have to park in the right of way off the edge of the asphalt. Laura Way dry hydrant. Everybody remembers there was crack in the pipe. And so I asked for a price from Grover's Landscape and also from John Wood. Grover's, I ticked them a couple of times and they've got a little, I think, issue going on with their office staff right now. He never did get back to me with a price. John Wood was $2,200, so Mike okayed that, so I let them know. It was past the 30-day price guarantee, so I told him to let me know if there's any difference, and I've not heard back. It was like 3 days past the 30. So hopefully just 2,200. Somebody else has asked about speed bumps again, being placed on Lake Drive, the elongated kind, not the big humps, but the elongated kind. Anybody? I mean, we've gone through this discussion so many times.
You know,
I
you
told
already
everybody
had
that.
one complaint from the ambulance, put those things in and you'll start getting them regularly. Fire department,
I agree.
ambulance, they
School
don't
bus
like
drivers,
them.
nobody
Oh, really?
wants them.
They hate them.
Wow. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I just wish that everybody, like drivers and homeowners, I wish everybody would just use more common sense.
Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you?
Move on.
Yeah, because you want kids to be able to play, but you also
That's right.
don't want people
Right.
zooming around the corner, and you want people
Well, I
to be,
put a little-
everybody to be aware.
I put a little piece in the newsletter about it, but,
I noticed at home that Bracone we were talking about,
Yeah.
they had a sign up about children. at
Yeah, they
home.
did put one of those,
well,
like,
good,
Yeah.
good, that's really
Yeah.
good.
So they were,
Yeah.
But you also need to let your children know, not you.
yeah,
People
yeah,
need to
no,
let
I
their
know.
children know,
Yeah.
there's a sign here, but not everybody would.
Right,
pay
and
attention
I
to it.
agree with you, because it just takes one person coming around the corner.
Mhm.
And also the kids that are playing out there, they're little, and they had like
they're all
motorized Jeeps and things, and they're everywhere. They're
Yeah.
Kermans, they're over there, they're just going back and forth.
And they don't get out of the way when you come
Yeah,
around.
so the parents need to kind of watch them too. I mean, it goes both ways. I
But you
think.
gotta realize it's actually Brittany's house, where it was the couple with the 4 kids, and the house across the street. Their sisters
Yeah.
bought those. They
Yeah.
grew up in
Yeah.
Drum Point. Their kids are all over the place. They have a
Wow.
close friend that lives right across from Bonnie and me,
Mhm.
and they used to all be there. Now they're bigger play area, the intersection.
Mhm.
And,
They're dominating.
oh yeah, oh,
Yeah.
and they,
Well, hopefully there won't be a tragic incident.
Well, it's just
That's right.
scary, because they go
There's more
around the corner, sometimes they're on like skateboards and things, and they're
That's
sitting
right.
and they're
Yeah.
low, and the car goes
Yeah,
around the
you
corner,
don't see
and you
it.
might not see them.
well, I'll tell you, they had made me come to a complete stop. I just,
Yeah.
stop,
No, I
let's see
know.
what they do.
I know, I mean, I do that too, I'm just kind of slow.
That's me too, yeah, I hear you.
But I think it goes both ways, like, they need to be more responsible and drivers, I mean, both ways. I see it.
Laura Way, I asked Carl Bowen for a price on trimming the causeway, because people like to fish there, and it was really overgrown, way beyond Joe's ability. So he called Carl called me a week or maybe two ago and gave me a price of $300, which I thought was pretty good. And I said I would take it to the board tonight, and he said, well, I have my equipment here now, which is why I can give you a $300 price. So I made a command decision. and I
Would you
said,
do it?
Do it.
Dynamite.
I thought it would make sense.
Is the court martial board ready?
Well, I'd like to have him also do Bayview, same way. Can we do that? I mean, the next time he's here with his equipment and that same price.
Tell me you want it for $280.
Whatever happened, you know, the tree that's washed out and gonna collapse at
At the causeway.
the causeway
Okay,
there?
well, I met with, well, Jamie and, had, I guess, gotten hold of Rhea and said, well, they want to talk, they want us to look at this again, you know, because they think maybe there's more needs to be done. So I met with them last Monday. There isn't more that needs to be done, it just needs to be done. Okay.
Because I thought we had already made it.
Well, we have, and, you know, typical ward, you know, takes forever to work the permits and get it
So
working.
what did we agree to do? Are we taking it out?
Well,
Yeah,
the trees will have to come out of there. There's nothing supporting.
yeah, no, I know the roots are up. but I just
And
think
then
a lot
fill
of-
in where it's all eroded
Mhm,
and put riprap in there to hold it
mhm.
and run that down. It doesn't have to go all the way down to the causeway because there's already substantial riprap and well rings
Right there.
along most of it. And it's well vegetated, so I don't think there's an issue there.
Mhm,
So basically said, look, you know, we don't need to expand this, we just need to do it.
mhm.
Well, the price of materials have really gone up, yeah, you know. I
Let's
said,
wait
well,
more.
Then give us,
Yeah.
It's more expensive.
Send us a-
He's not sending
send us
me,
an update.
he's not sending me.
And then also, that also involved, remember the lake was also starting to, the bank was starting to get eaten away a little bit. So we were gonna put some small riprap along that one end down with the parking area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I told him to update that too, and
Mhm,
let's get on with it.
yeah. Sounds good.
And then I forgot to mention with my office update, I asked Mike the other day if I could, on Tuesdays, I've been 11 to 7 forever. And I had an obligation on Tuesday nights. Trivia. Anyway, it starts at 7. So I asked if I could back my hours up from 11 to 7 to 10 until 6. Now, if there's a board meeting, obviously, that goes out the window. But I got a new office sign. And I made it so that, I didn't put Monday on here because I work from home, but it's always been on that sign out there, 9 until 3, is that what it said? Wednesday through Friday, but I'm here. And if I see somebody come in, I always run around their thing, try to catch them, so I just made it 8 to 4, Wednesday through Friday. And those aren't
Now, what are you
hours.
gonna do if you show up late?
If I show up late, where?
To work?
Do doctor pay?
Yeah, do doctor don't pay?
I do, actually I do.
Slap yourself.
If it's more than a few minutes, I do.
Okay.
I try to be very honest.
I'll tell you, that Tuesday thing, I think it should be 9:30 to 5:30.
Why?
So you can make a new
So you
sign.
can get a new sign. Yeah, you're in the sign business, right? It's like, yeah, get your favorite.
So anyway, that's that, that's all. Thank you.
Okay. That's it?
Yes.
All right. Jack, you got any update on money?
Yeah, just, and some questions for my own education, I guess. Starting with the balance sheet. You know, I see our sugar account is just approaching $20,000. I was just wondering, is there any way we can just start drawing on that? There may be no eligible expenses
Yeah.
left. And it's creeping up.
I know, it is, yeah.
Mhm.
I always try to pay Carl out of that. Problem with Carl, because he doesn't send a bill for so long.
No.
It's budgeted for, I don't have the budget in front of me, but it's budgeted. I'll have to look and see, because actually with the STD changing this year, I did put a little more into the budget for state highway. But it might have been more in snow removal, which of course we haven't done. But I could do like tree cleanup from a storm, things like that.
Any of those kind of expenses, I think,
I will
I don't
concentrate
know if the
on
board
that.
agrees that we should be drawing down their money, not ours.
Well, really, and actually, Robin at the county tells me that we have to spend that.
Yeah.
Or we will
Use or lose, right?
So we really need to spend it,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
The appearances are
Mhm.
important there. Good. Well, it's just something I guess we have to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Then I was going down to liabilities,
Mhm.
line 2105.
Mhm.
It was so much different than previous months. I mean, the lines are even different. 2010 is going
Well, okay, first of all, the audit has been done. So he sends me journal entries to do, so that, the deferred revenue, I'm just going with, on STD 2105. I go with what the auditor tells me to put in there. I,
Okay.
beyond that. 20, which one's gone in 2010? The deferred revenue,
2010 is in the
so as of
last
the
accrued wages.
accrued rate wages, that changes because of,
But disappeared.
well, it disappeared because perhaps I was paid. I mean, that's something that, again, if I have wages that have been paid, I guess, but not posted. So it went away. The accrued rate wages from last year went away.
Okay.
It's a timing matter when they do it, I can see that.
Yeah. Now, the deferred revenue for 2023, we're in 2023. So on July 1st of every year, I take that deferred revenue and I do a journal entry to put it into accounts receivable, because it's no longer deferred, because we're now in
Okay.
the fiscal year. You can see deferred revenue for 2024 and even 2025, because that's when people have paid way ahead, you know, for whatever reason. Sometimes it happens at closing and so on. So then next year on July 1st, I'll do that same journal entry.
I guess I got mixed up that they paid and it's our money. And we have it down as under current liabilities. But
Because we're deferring, that's why it's a liability.
even though it's money in the bank.
It is money in the bank, but technically,
Yeah, but you got it here, you got your cash, and you got the liability there.
Yeah.
Right there.
It's just that I
Yeah.
didn't understand it correctly. Then the other thing to have a look at is profit and loss budget versus actual. And we already talked about
yeah, that's just
possibility of this. I think it's just a general, something I missed into. Otherwise, I missed a good party. And then 6665 security. It seems a little high for this time of year, this time of the fiscal year.
Not really, because it's got, I don't, the first money that I pay to the beach patrol people is for Memorial Day through June, which is last fiscal year, but I don't pay it until July. So that's money we paid for security from Memorial Day weekend through July. And then I'll be getting the bill this week for this past weekend in August. And then that'll be it for the year.
Okay. But otherwise, we continue to be in really good shape. I think.
Yeah.
Any questions on that? David, do you have anything on environment?
Bonnie had sent us a quick little message that says, Mark Smith will be spraying in September or early October, weather permitting. And this is gonna include the frag monies down by that program. And as far as the IBD goes, we're gonna start November. I'm gonna choose a lot next month. And that's that.
And Maggie's not here, so we probably don't have any update on.
No,
give
she
you
gave me
anything?
something.
Did she give you something?
Yeah, you said you're gonna start in November, I believe, Jim?
Yes,
Safety. Maggie sent out emails to the committee, but got very little response as far as whether or not they're still interested in serving on that committee. So she wants to table that, the affirmation of it.
Okay. That it? committees?
I distributed 5 buckets, I've got 2 on hand, and there's enough, mostly enough supplies back there for 4, to assemble 4. Oh, okay, you're on there too. It's also confusing. And I need to pick up, you guys are going out of town tomorrow, aren't you? Or Wednesday, Thursday. So I'll pick up some snacks, just a few, for what we need, and I need to pick up brochures from the Marine Museum Visitor Center. So I'll let you know when I've got that, and then you guys can
Okay.
talk about it.
Maybe sometime next week.
Yeah, that's
That
something
would
like,
work out.
towards the end of the week, yeah.
That's all I have.
That it? Okay, planning committee, beach erosion project. First off, I think I told you last month and probably the month before, this, working this joint permit process that Coastline Design has been doing for us has been more ridiculous than I ever thought. Back and forth between MDE and Corps of Engineers and everything. But it looks like, the latest I saw, it looks like he finally got a pretty good nod of the head from the MDE people, so hopefully that's, will continue moving forward. The other thing is, you know, as I told you, we didn't get the grant that we applied for. So Rhea and I did a phone debrief with the chairperson of the group that we were applying to. And got a, she gave us a pretty good, I think, rundown of what was going on. And I think there's 2 main factors. Probably the real one, she didn't really say it, but the real factor was there were 21 proposals that were put in for grants in this area, in the shoreline restoration. There were $14 million of requested money in those 21. They had $2 million in construction and $100,000 in design that they could grant. So, you know,
Nobody got anything done.
so the odds are pretty bad. They actually issued 5 grants, 2 for construction, 3 for design, and that was all they had. So that, to me, that's number 1. Number 2, and what she kind of harped on several times was, and I don't know, maybe it's my fault, I just didn't see it as part of the overall criteria that they'd be looking for, but they say one of the things that hurt us was we didn't really have anything in there that talked about how we're going to save or preserve infrastructure. And by that she means roads, houses, buildings. And I said, well, yeah, we don't. I mean, this is it's a beach. It's a,
Well, we could be saving what road remains.
yeah, but that road is not really a road. It's just a parking pad.
And you could make the argument that if the beach erodes, then you're sort of preserving the houses that would now be created on a new inlet of the bay, but that's a reach.
That's
Right,
kind of.
that's what I thought.
That's a real
We
reach.
talked about that, you know, if the one thing it might do is, okay, if you prevented a breach of the beach,
A permanent breach. not
a
just-
permanent breach,
Yeah.
and you drain the pond, then what happens? You know, but that's a reach, I think.
Yeah, it did.
And, you know, whether you could provide any evidence that that would cause houses to fall in or not, I sort of doubt it.
I'd like to read that though, if you do it.
Yeah, right. The other factors, those are the 2 she said probably hurt us the most. What they look for things, well, community impact on infrastructure, that was number 1. She didn't think that ours really showed much in the way of habitat enhancement. And she's including animals and fish and, you know, whatever. I said, well, you know, it did include planting. We did have that in there. You know, we had a shore planting to help preserve the shoreline. She says, well, yeah, but that, you know, it's, when they rack it all up. it just
So
goes-
somehow we gotta protect a bird or 2.
Yeah, we need to protect a bird or a
Yeah.
fox
Well,
or,
we take that under advisement, yeah.
right.
She's.
We'll stop lobstering on the pond and keep the whales from getting entangled.
That's right.
You
See, yes.
Cost efficiency, I don't think she had any problem with that. In fact, one of the things she liked about our proposal was that it was low cost, relatively low cost, and and the fact that we had matching funds, we also like that. So in the future, those are things to include if we decide to do it again. Let's see. She thought, a letter from the county would have been nice. I said, well, we didn't do that, you didn't ask for that, but, the county did support our request for STD funds for the beach. But so, if we did decide to pursue it, we could probably get them to send some kind of an endorsement, I don't know. What she did say was that maybe, for what we're trying to do, maybe we might have a better chance with their zero interest loan program. And she gave me contacts. I haven't had a chance to chase them down yet, but the period runs through the end of the year for the next process. So that's one thing I'll check on. Is if we could get zero interest loan once we start actually doing the construction, that would help us ward off some of the financial strain. Anything else important? That was,
Who from the county could we tap if we wanted to get an endorsement from the county? Commissioner?
I would do.
I would ask the commissioners for, and then
If he is, I.
have them sign a letter out under the, the president of the commission.
Okay.
Mike's liable to take a left-hand turn and start talking about volunteerism and.
They'll turn it over to my card. No.
No, it's-
No, okay. So that's it, that's what I have on that.
It's nice that, she gave you an explanation.
Yeah.
What they were looking for and,
Yeah.
yeah.
You were in the government, you did government contracting or something?
I did some,
Yeah. This is, you don't go back to the boss with that little yellow thing with those notes, he's like, well, what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do, you're lucky you got good answers too, that's great.
So we'll keep that and we'll see where we go from here. That's all I have on that part. What do we have next? We have, safety, we're gonna table that. The database update.
Yeah,
Under new business.
Donegan, property owner here, is, I don't know that his first love is at the Access database, but he's very familiar with it. So he came in to the office the other day and looked at my database. The database was built in 2014 by a man who's no longer in the area. And Doug feels, and there are some, well, we've already talked about some of the issues and the need to maybe do an update of that database. I can get around the issues because I've used it for so long, but it's beginning to have more and more little foibles, and exports of data and so on. He recommends that we update to a newer version of Access because as they update Office 365, it's no longer, it was built with an old database form or version. So now that I'm using a newer database version, it may be having conflicts. That could cause an issue. He has an acquaintance, and I haven't heard back from Doug about this, but this acquaintance lives in Indiana. And he thinks he might be interested in updating the database, not starting over, but simply updating what's there to make it work better with Office 365 version. So he's going to let me know the outcome of that once he's talked with them. But he said it definitely needs to be fixed, in case I die in the difference to quote John Gray. Anyway, that's all I have there. And I do have, just so everybody knows, I joke about that, but the office manual does have all the little workarounds when you run into these foibles. So, for whatever that's worth, hopefully we'll guide somebody through it if it should.
You got a lot in your head though, right? So somebody who comes in there, this isn't working, and they gotta
Well, The difficulty, I think, is that when you put on paper, this is how you fix it, or this is what you need to do, 1, 2, 3, 4. You think it makes sense because you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But somebody else who's not, somebody who's not familiar with it might have, it wouldn't be as immediately obvious. So hopefully.
I'm surprised it doesn't automatically, when they evolve and give you a, newer version. The data just goes along, I'm just a little confused
It
with what's going
does.
on.
I don't know, I have no idea. So.
Yeah, database, it's just, arrays of,
That's all I've got.
So Access doesn't update like Office and other products over a certain period of time?
It does, it updates every time I do an Office update, it updates all the different products as needed.
Yeah.
But for some reason, since this was built in an old version of 2014, it doesn't seem to work well with the newer version of Access.
maybe it's too many iterations and
Well,
it's weakening it or something,
yeah.
it's just getting.
And the
I don't
other
know.
thing is that there's always been, from the beginning, a few little issues. And that is in part because before this, I never went to somebody and said, I need this database built. I need it to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Z. It's like you don't realize everything that's needed. So in the initial building of that database, it wasn't, for instance, we didn't know that we were going to need to be able to take payments from people. It's built to take 2 payments, one for the mandatory assessment, one for the covenant fees. Beyond that, I have to go to another little function, it's not bound to anything. An unbound payment is what it's called. It doesn't bind itself to the covenants or the mandatory assessment. So when I do an export, I've taken a payment like that, I do an export of an unbound payment, it doesn't come out with my accounts receivable report, because it's not bound to anything. I have to remember that I also took a payment from Mike Chaconis, because he's only paying $10 a month. It just wasn't designed to take payments incrementally like that.
So you just have to manually do it.
I have to manually, right, so when I do a deposit, if I know especially if I know I've taken an unbound payment, I try to do that report right away, that day, because 2 days later, it's like, it's $30 off. And then I have to think, oh, that's right. Mike came in and gave me $30 off of a $500 bill. People are making payments and they're stretching them out because that's what we allow them to do now. So, because the fees increased dramatically is why we started doing that. It's one thing to have to pay $10 a year. It's suddenly now, it's all mandatory and it's $137 on a vacant lot that you can't even get to. It's in the middle of nowhere. So they pile up. That's it.
Okay. So you'll just
I'll keep pursuing.
follow up with those guys
Yeah.
and try to get something concrete.
Yeah.
Okay. The last thing was, talk a little bit about the meeting coming up on the 27th. Just again, anybody have any inputs for things we should include or not include, or, I wondered about, inviting Ted Haney, talk about the Bridge of Mill Creek.
Yeah, well, it's not, I guess it doesn't matter. The agenda's already on it, and it's not on the agenda. But it's not like it's a big, it's not like it's now we're suddenly gonna have a vote that we not announced. I can't imagine if you would mind.
Was there any, can we,
Put it under new business.
I think it's a good idea,
Yeah.
yeah.
all right, well, I'll call and see if he's available. But if he is, can we at least put it on the website or something?
Sure, of
Or
course.
send an email out or
Yeah, absolutely.
something like that, to just
Yeah,
let him know that.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, all right, I'll check on that. Other than that, I don't have anything other than just normal business. Committee reports, or summaries, just tell people where we're at. And, I'll tell them a little bit, give them an update on the beach project.
And I'll tell them once again, we're working on stormwater management. I think it's a little, like we're putting them on. Sure, we're working on it. It's just a little frustrating.
time is the meeting,
Starts at
27?
7.
Is it 6:30, 7,
Tuesday,
7?
o'clock.
7.
And at the Jump Point Club,
It's at
right?
the club.
Yeah.
Jump Point Club. Anything else on today's business? Okay, Tony, when would you like to have the next meeting?
What?
We're going out of town,
I'm leaving on the 30th,
so, and you're returning,
on the 24th.
that's October. So the first Tuesday.
First Tuesday is, the first Tuesday is what, the 4th? Is there any problem with the 4th?
I'm not gonna be here, but I might be able to call in.
Yeah, I think it's good for me.
I'm okay with it.
You know,
With Azure back?
Yeah, May 6:30, yeah.
so October 4th?
4th at 6:30 then. Okay.
October 4th, 6:30, the usual, is what you said?
Okay, that's all I have. We'll be adjourned.